Have you ever been quoken up? A quoken?
A quokend.
Yeah. Rendered
I've,
wide awake.
I
Uh, Wait a minute. What time did this happen again?
Well, I wasn't asleep
yeah,
when
it
it hit
was not a
today.
I
time.
was like, wasn't it like 11 a.m. or something?
I
I
mean,
honestly
to be
don't know. I thought it
fair,
was like 8:45. Like maybe I'm wrong.
it definitely was
Maybe I'm
not that
wrong.
time, I don't think.
I don't know.
Uh I
I
was
can't
I was
believe that you won't remember for the rest of your life exactly where you were and what was happening when the great earthquake of
Of Ileton,
2023
of
of
Ileton,
Ileton
California.
shook Sacramento to its very core.
Bethel Isle. What is it called? Bethel
The earthquake already has a name.
Bethel Island.
They gave this one a name. I thought this was like a catch and release, like
Oh, she's just
throwback
talking about
kind
the
of thing.
island.
No, I'm talking about where it started, where the thing started. Listen, I was awake when
Well,
it
it
quoked.
started with these tectonic plates that,
Right, right.
pressure builds up over time. And then
The earth farted
Yeah, and somehow my
mm.
phone knew because
before.
there's a very
Did you,
scary
so
alert.
yeah, did you have like a moment where you were like, oh shit, when that went
Yes.
off? Because I definitely did, where I was like looking around, like, should I go somewhere else? Like, like,
I
I
and then
was
I
didn't.
saw like one of my things that I have hanging on the wall was just like, and
Yeah.
I was like, God damn it.
So the sequence of events, my earthquake testimony is that I was sitting at my desk at work, which I rarely do because I have a standing desk. And all of a sudden I was like, whoa, is that a dizzy spell? And then my phone was like, ah! And then I looked at my phone and was like, oh shit, it's an earthquake. And then I was like, whoa, like that's what that's about. And then I looked around and everything hanging in my office was like, oink, oink, oink,
Swanging.
That's funny.
oink.
I don't think I saw anything like swinging on my walls, but I remember feeling like it was kind of a queasy feeling. And I
So
There
wasn't
there's
was a,
sure.
have you ever been in a like an earthquake, like a sizable earthquake before?
No, no. I've only been in California for 10 years and always in Sacramento.
Ah, yeah,
I
yeah.
felt one in New York once, but that was like nothing.
yeah.
I used to have this couch that was like one of those lazy boy couches with a recliner on the side. And so
Mm-hmm.
you're basically, if you're sitting in that, you're like suspended on these, on like a recliner chair, basically in springs. And so anytime I was in that and there was even like a hint of an earthquake, I would feel it. Cause if you're like suspended like that, you just start moving like this, And so like I'd be on Twitter being like, anybody else feel that? Everybody be like, no. Like, well, maybe that was just a train that went by. I don't, I don't know.
It's just like every night at like 2:15 a.m. Skylar's like, anybody feel that?
Go to
Nah,
bed.
man. It's just the whiskey again. Go the fuck to sleep.
Go to bed, you idiot.
I love earthquake Twitter. It's my favorite Twitter.
Man, earthquake Twitter is bonkers because of course, the fucking earthquake happened, and I was like, hold up, I'm gonna check out Twitter, and there's just like every person in Sacramento is like, was that an earthquake? Question mark.
Earthquake? Question
Did you
mark?
or did you not receive the alert on your telephone that told you what it was?
Wait. So did you like do anything like tuck and roll? Like however you respond to an earthquake?
I got under my desk, stayed there for the remainder of the day. I text the staff at work to please bring me a coffee, a pillow, and a blanket. And I only came out from under my desk to do this show.
I
I'm gonna
Very
go
landed a
brave
back.
of you
perfect
to join
backflip
us.
as a reaction immediately upon getting the alert.
I was like scared at first, but then I was like, I don't like in this building, like nothing's gonna keep me safe. I was like, I'm not getting in a doorway or anything. So I just stayed where I was.
I
I
will
didn't
say
do
that on the ground
anything.
level, the way to experience an earthquake is to be like working in a tall building because then you will feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because buildings are, modern buildings are designed to sway with earthquakes so that they stay in one piece, and sway they do when there are earthquakes, and you can definitely feel it. And it takes a building a minute to get going, and then it takes it a minute to stop. So
It's
you're doing it
wild
for a
when you're in a
while.
tall
Yeah.
building and an earthquake happens. I'm from Southern California, where earthquakes are frequent. I've experienced quite a few earthquakes, and so it happened, and I was just like, whatever.
Eh.
But then I went downstairs and people were like, "Is everyone okay? Is there an earthquake?" Not my team wasn't bothered at all. They were probably breaking up a fight or scooping up some turds or something.
Well,
But other
this one,
people,
this was a 4.6, which is a very weak earthquake. One of my anonymous Twitter friends said that her dad always said if it's not at least a 5.0, it's don't even discuss it. And it was based out of Isleton, which is like 20 miles south of us, give or take. But have you been like have you been in a big one, Shannon? Being from
Northridge.
LA?
It was in the Northridge quake.
What does that mean?
It's a big one.
I was like, shit, should I know this?
No, I guess you don't unless you're from Southern California. The Northridge quake was in 90, 94, 95. I think it was like a 7 point. Maybe it was like a high sixes. I feel like
So that's a
there was-
biggie. If it's like a 6.5 or higher, you should be like concerned, right?
yeah,
I
was
remember
a kid.
I remember when I was a kid feeling the Loma Prieta earthquake in 1989.
Someone else was talking about that today at work.
Is that where your band name came from, Skyler Prieta?
I think that is where they got the name, but I was not a part of the naming process. But I'm 99% sure that at least has something to do with it. But you'd have to ask one of those guys.
Oh, wow, like 3.5 years of this show, and I just like learned that about you.
There's also like one of the things about Southern California is there's often like little aftershocks of like earthquakes that happened. Like, I'm from Long Beach. Earthquakes tend to happen more like in the inland area, but it was like we were always feeling aftershocks of some shit.
Well, Quaquitos.
Little quakitos.
Yeah.
There's also the Landers quake in like the early 90s. That was like a 7.5. We couldn't
See,
get to
those
our
are biggest.
house because of it. Anyway,
Yeah. I'm glad we all survived today.
gosh,
Yeah.
it was scary.
It was
I
dicey.
wasn't sure that
but
we
made
would.
it.
It was touch and go there for me. I know
Yeah.
that. But with that said, shall we begin this
Yeah.
episode?
Yeah, we definitely should.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Was that like 9ish, 8,
9:35.
9? So 6:10. You want me to run us in?
I would absolutely love that.
3, 2, oh, hell, oh. Everyone, you have Kempa.
And you have Skyler.
Also, Shannon.
Oh my.
Look
It's-
at us.
The 3 remaining originals.
Mhm.
The originals.
Yeah, when was the last time we did a show that was just the three of us?
When we had drinks the other night.
Well, that wasn't supposed to be a show. That just turned into one because we're terrible drunks.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't even know if we've done it this season yet.
No, we haven't. Absolutely not. I don't remember the last time the three of us did a show.
Oh,
Just the three of us.
well, how fitting.
First person to find it out and tweet at us gets a free koozie.
Yep.
I need that shit out of my house.
It's a retweet.
Yep. You
Yeah,
get one.
Not only
one-
will we retweet you,
I'll give you a like and a subscribe.
Fuck yeah.
What? Well, this is a significant episode. But first, before I say that, we love what we do, folks. If you love what we do, I would recommend going on down to patreon.com/voicesrivercity for as little as $5 a month. $5 you can support the premier podcast in the Sacramento region, and help them do what they do, continue to speak truth to power, and really have no holds, unfiltered discourse, as I'm excited for the show to continue to do. So should we tell folks what's up? Skyler, do you want to tell them?
Yeah. I guess I want to start by kind of providing an explainer to our audience about why there was not an episode last week. So last week we had an awesome guest, honestly, Yasar Darbour, who is a lifelong Palestinian rights activist, and also a local kind of Politico heavy hitter. And so we brought him on because, you know, like because on this show, the whole point is to give people who don't have a voice or a platform, to provide them with that voice and that platform. And of course, regardless of where, you know, you come down on whatever, you know, what's happening in Gaza, like it's undeniable that all of the media coverage is all from the from the perspective of the Israelis. There's very little, or at least especially at the time when we did that episode, there was very little attention being paid to what the Palestinians were experiencing, and kind of what their story was and what the things looked like from their side. And so we
particularly thought it would be civilians in Gaza, you know.
Right. So we wanted to bring on Yasar to have that discussion, and we did. And honestly, it was great. Like, he was a great guest. It's a very, very long episode.
Great discussion. Yeah.
But we got to the end of the episode. I mean, we got to the end of the episode, and it kind of turned into a thing where we hemmed and hawed about it, because Dave and I both work for political candidates who are currently running local races in Sacramento, who are already fairly controversial figures, both of them. And things were so extreme. The discourse was so extreme and awful, that we were worried that if we published the episode, as it was, that it would blow back on our bosses. And so ultimately it kind of led to this process of trying to edit it and trying to find a way to do it without it, you know, it creating,
by still being true to the show. Right.
And kind of during that process, we got to a point where it became evident that like this isn't the spirit of Voices River City. Like, we can't. The whole point of this show, and when we started it, you know, since we started it, the whole point has just been raw, unfiltered takes. And obviously that's, you know, that's had its own consequences here and there.
Some good gambles and wins, though, too, over the years.
Yeah, also quite true. But so essentially, we kind of got to the point where, I don't know, I'll speak for myself. I got to the point where I was like, this is antithetical to the entire idea behind Voices River City. We had this great guest on. He gave us this like really genuine, phenomenal interview discussion that we were then scared to release, because the things now, we're both at points in our careers where the things that we say publicly don't just come back to us. They come back to people who are in much more important and precarious positions than anybody on the show is in.
And harming them harms the movement in a great way, right? And that's something I think we need to think about, just even beyond our own like careers. It's like, what are we all building here? No, I mean, Skyler, that's exactly kind of where I landed too. And I think you and I sat down last week and just like, we're fully on the same page that you know, it's not just this thing, but, you know, given the friends we're working alongside right now, like we can't talk about certain active local races on this show if either of us are on, which is ridiculous. And once more, 100% antithetical to what this show is all about. Like this is why people have always tuned in over the years, is to understand and know what is going on a local level.
By people who are not mired down in local politics and
right.
who have the freedom to just say what they want.
Yeah.
Publicly.
So basically, Skyler and I said it's time for us to go. We gotta focus on our new little corner in the movement and give this show back to the final OG of the original four, Shannon, and to Gabe, and to help them, and a lot like and not help, like just like let this is theirs now, and this is the community show, and help allow you to build that out again, and to create that space once more where it is incredibly unfiltered, and you can hold our friends who we're working with accountable as well.
Yeah, I think we've had a lot of conversations in person, over text message, over the last week, as it became more and more clear that this is the direction that the show is going to have to go in. And I think there's like, this is a show that we all love so much and are passionate about, and we have seen you know, the harvest of the work that has been done here in lots of different places. You know, Voices, I think, has also done a really cool thing, and it's sort of created a community within a community of people who listen to our show, of people who have supported us, you know, from even people who supported the show before Skyler and I were on it. Folks were just interested in what we have to say. And I think there's a couple reasons in my mind that, like, even while the decision, one of the things that I keep telling myself is like, this is tough, and I have not allowed myself to feel feelings really about it yet, because it is just like, this is the next step, this is what has to happen, let's get through it, and we'll feel feelings later. But part of the reason to make a decision like this is out of the space of love, care, concern, and dedication to this community and to seeing this community flourish. Like, we just couldn't have an honest show anymore. And it also, like, as I sit on this side of it, being able to say whatever the fuck I want to say, because it's not going to come back on anybody, really. I mean, it you know, not in the same way. Shit, I lost my train of thought.
I mean, you're the editor now, so you can do whatever you want.
Man, I don't know. That's like a whole other fucking can of worms. Anyway, sitting on this side of things, I think that it's also, as someone who has had to think about what I am going to say when the two of you are on the show, I can only imagine what it's like to be the people who can't say a lot of what you want to say. So this is also an opportunity for you, like, to not have to think about every sentence, right? Like, you gain a little bit more freedom in this too.
I think it's also presents an opportunity that I am really excited about, and I will be watching really closely with great anticipation. But it presents us with an opportunity to, like, platform like a new generation of young people in Sacramento who are not white dudes, which is something that we've put that call out a few times. Like, we need hosts, please. If you are not like a cishet straight white man, like, we want to hear your voice. And so two of those guys are out. And it clears the path, I think, for new voices that are a little more like in tune with what the show is supposed to be, right? With for voices that don't get heard as much. And I'm really excited I'm excited to see that happen, and I think it has the potential. I mean, it has the potential to be better than it's ever been,
100%.
because of it.
Yeah.
And I'm juiced. I mean, obviously, like, I'm sad because I love this show, and I'm fucking super proud of all of us and the work that we have done over the years on this show. And I love being a part of it. I love the community. But it's time, you know.
I thought we'd have fewer tears than when Flo said goodbye, but
I know. I'm sorry.
starting to look a little dicey
God
here.
damn it.
That is very rude to bring the feelings. No, I mean,
man.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
I said this to you and to Shannon and to Gabe that this is a problem that's born to the successes of the movement and everything that every one of you orgs out there, like every one of us, every one of you, like direct action folks, everything that we've built, this is born of all of the movement's successes. And so it's in the end not a bad problem. We have had friends in the movement gain and take power. They have powerful positions, and we have the opportunity for so much more in the very near future. And I'm proud of that. And in as much as like the show could no longer be what it was from the beginning, like look at I don't know, just look at everything the last few years. I started Voices, not the podcast, but Voices, as an online news and arts website, like in April of 2017. Spent all this time, you know, trying to come up with the right name, the right logo. I have a bunch of like old, very bad art things of that still. And it was really, as Skyler said before, the whole idea was to elevate voices that you wouldn't normally hear, elevate voices that don't make it into the B opinion section, right? And I think we really succeeded in a lot of ways. And there was just so much trauma throughout that time, the Stephon Clark era, right? And the George Floyd protests. And before Skyler and I relaunched the show in September 2019, or give or take, I remember seeing a new person, a very young person, coming out to challenge District 4 council member Steve Hansen. And I was curious who it was. And I reached out, hey, Katie Valenzuela, can you write a piece introducing yourself to the people of District 4? And she did. And we've had her on the show a few times during the campaign, and then many times after. And she won. She beat the guy, right? Like, and like, you can never say that like Voices had a hand in that or anything, but like we got to be a little part of this local history. That's like a really special moment that showed us all that yes, the left can take power in these places, and maybe there's so much more. Maybe more is possible. I don't know if that was meandering or what, but
no, I don't disagree. And like, you know, like I said before, I fucking swerved off there. I really feel like I would be thinking about this in a different way if I didn't expect this show to continue to continue to serve the people of Sacramento and the community, because I really do. And who knows, like it's impossible to like really be able to gauge it from this side of things, but like I don't know, the way that I have approached this the whole time has been as if we are providing a service to the community, and I think that ultimately is what it turned into. And I think it's important, I think it's super important, and I really am excited to see kind of the next iteration come in and kind of take the reins, because there's certainly never going to be any shortage of fucking bullshit in Sacramento.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much more potential and so many more places it can go. But I will say that there's, especially this podcast that the three of us and Flo started, it spanned through the beginning, this like very like globally fucking disturbing, traumatic, and lonely time. And like you three became family for me. I live alone, and like I think that's the part that like I don't think that one's really hit me yet. Like, fuck, man, like we were in it together. Like we were doing 2 shows a fucking week for a while there.
Well, and that was a large part of the impetus behind doing that for me, was just to like, yeah, like you said, Dave, I also was living alone at the time, was to like have an excuse to hang out with my friends
during the pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think people were seeking out things to keep them company during that time, which I think I think a lot of success can be born of timing, and I think that's where in part some of the initial sort of upswing of the show might have come from. It's like people were looking for 4 friends talking shit for an hour twice a week.
Well, and if they weren't, then they got it anyway.
Yeah. And they got some poop jokes.
You're welcome. Those aren't going anywhere, people. Yeah, I think there is, I don't know, like I do not want to feel feelings. I'm about to go on vacation and I got a lot of shit to do. And if I feel feelings, I'm not going to get my shit done. But I do, I can't remember if it was like all of us sitting at the bar the other night talking about this, or if it was Skyler and I who talked about this, but there is something that will live, like voices as us and Flo in that time. There's something like so magical about that time for me. Not only because it was, the world was turned upside down, but because the 4 of us each brought something different to the show in terms of personality and expertise and experience. And it somehow created, between a bunch of people who were only connected by Kempa, a little family that really quickly trusted each other and turned to each other and supported each other. And it does like suck that this is where we're at. Like, I mean, we can say, and Kempa's the perfect person to say like the movement, is advancing and this is, important work and all that shit, which I believe. I'm not shitting on that reality, but I'm a death doula, and so I also see this as loss, and I see this as grief, and I see it as really sad, and I think that the two things can be separate. That like we can,
Yeah.
there
But
are
also both can be
advancements.
true.
Yeah, we can hold both things at the same time, and the things can be moving forward in the way that we would like to see them. The movement can be gaining, and we can also just like feel sad that we live in a space where discourse like what we want to be possible is not, when you're also working on political campaigns, because it could level people, it could level candidates, and that just sucks, you know, like it
Yeah.
sucks that we can't just have fucking conversations, and it sucks very specifically because, you know, Gabe is not on this episode, and I've loved doing the episodes with him, and I'm excited about the future, whatever the fuck we end up doing. But it's gonna be really hard to log on to Zoom once a week and not see you guys. Like, God
Yeah.
fucking damn it.
I
I hate that.
I was thinking when you guys are talking about how I guess I was like the connecting point with you three. And I remember early on, I think it was like, you know, late spring in the pandemic, like April, May of 2020. And just looking around on this little screen in front of me and like seeing these relationships like form among you three, like, God damn it. No, I'm gonna fucking go.
Y'all
I
didn't know
guess
you
we're
were
all
coming
fucking
to a
doing it.
fucking
God
emo
damn
fest.
it.
And just being like
people
kind of
people love to turn on a podcast and just hear people
like,
crying.
everyone fucking crying.
They fucking love it.
No, I was
This is
just astounded like by the just the care with which like you talk to each other and like the legitimate concern like I would hear and like the other parts of being friends too, right? Like the joking, the you know disagreeing on occasion even though people didn't think we all disagreed enough on the show. Like and I remember after we'd record, I'm sure you guys do too, like we'd sit on here for hours and just fucking talk.
Yeah. I did that as a like a real dumbass because I had to go to work the next day. Just here we go. Yeah, I mean this show, what like some of the most major events in my life have happened while I've been on this show. Like my major adult traumas have happened while I've been a co-host on this show with you guys. I mean,
That's really beautiful. I love to hear it.
yeah, I mean, yeah. I had two uncles die. I had my gallbladder evicted. One time we turned on, like we were in the Zoom about to record, and I got up and left because I started to feel terrible. And then Nate found me butt naked on the floor in the bathroom, writhing in pain. And I was like, you got to tell him I can't, like, I can't do the show. And he recalls that coming in to this room and being like, I don't know, something's up with Shannon, like she can't record. And he's like, and Flo was just typing, like doing her job, and she said multiple times, take her to the emergency room. Take her to the emergency room.
She was like deadpan too. I remember this.
Yeah, it's why I mean, you know, this thing that was like, I think in a lot of ways, like you know, people turn on their favorite TV show to have in the background. Like for me, it was this thing that like and yeah, I can say was this thing that I look forward to, and sometimes annoyed the shit out of me. Like I think that speaks to the like family part. Sometimes I was in a shit ass mood, or I was fucking annoyed, or I didn't want to be here. But we still just did it.
I will say that is like that was my experience as well, where like, you know, especially when you get busy with work, because it is like, you know, it's fun. I love doing the show, but it's work, right? Like you got to like,
Yes.
you know, read a bunch of stuff and kind of figure out what you want to talk about, and then come on and spend an hour doing the show. And then in my case, put in the time producing it and doing the audio and video tracks and all that. And I would come into this sometimes on Wednesday nights and just be like, oh, God damn it. Like, this is the last thing in the world that I feel like doing right now. But then always,
yeah,
within like 5 or 10 minutes,
Yeah,
fuck, man, God damn it.
You click back in though, right?
Yeah,
Like you were ready. Yeah.
Fuck, God damn it.
Well, there's so many episodes we've recorded too, where at the end we were all like, we're exhausted, we're going through our shit in a day, and like all of us are kind of like, was that any fucking good at all? And sometimes people like lost their minds over those episodes, and it was like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're not the best judges of the quality of our show.
I mean, yeah, and we also like we've been doing this for so long.
Yeah,
like
hundreds and hundreds of episodes.
the three of us. I was on the show as a guest in January of 2020, or maybe it was, yeah, I think it was January. No, as
I think we had you in December. Yeah.
December of 2019, and then I joined the show in January of 2020, and like that's a lot. That's a lot of time, especially as we did that shit, that twice a week shit, which was, I think if we're honest, as much as there were times when I was like, I can't fucking do this. I don't want to be here, whatever. Like, I really think that Voices saved my ass from going into deep, dark spirals of what the fuck. Like, and not that I didn't do that or don't do that, but you know, like I think it was a thing that was consistent, and yeah, and like Sky says, like you don't want to be on the fucking show, and then within moments you just like remember like you're with your family, and a family that you have chosen that might still like, you know, grate on you sometimes, but we chose this. Like this is the life we chose for a while. And it, in a lot of ways, I think it sucks that you don't really get to choose when you have to exit. Like,
Yeah.
it just is. You just have to.
Yeah. Skyler, is there anything else you want to add? If you can keep it together.
I just want to like reiterate. Yeah, I know. I'm going to try and get through a motherfucking sentence. God damn it. No, I just want to reiterate that, like, you know, we are focusing on kind of what we're losing and spending a lot of like, you know, and to, you know, and being with your grief is important, and it's important to feel those feelings. But I do want to reiterate that, like, legitimately, I'm not like just saying this so that people don't like unsubscribe from the Patreon. But like, I think this, I legitimately do think that this paves the way for Voices River City to be better than it ever was. And I am in that vein. I am excited. I think I'm already a patron of the show, so I don't have to do that.
Same.
But or am I? I can't remember.
No, you
Anyway.
canceled your membership.
Did
I think I need to become one.
You did cancel it.
Either way,
Kevin
I
needs
just,
to become
you know,
a patron.
my like sadness at the decision is cut by my excitement to witness what comes next, because I really believe that it's gonna be, I think you will find a way to make it incredible.
Yeah,
and you and Gabe, and you know, we've got some other folks that we're talking to about coming on and taking a more regular position, but
well, yeah, I mean, Nia has been a phenomenal guest host too.
Nia's been an incredible
most recently.
guest.
So like, and every guest host we've ever had, right? Like, there's a whole list here that like y'all are still a part of this team, right? It's I guess we're just kind of reflecting on the moment from this like little threesome / foursome that was us and Flo.
Yeah.
So when you talk about threesomes and foursomes,
Is that bad?
no,
Did I do it
just think
again?
about banging.
Did I do the thing?
It's fine. You didn't do it bad. I just
Let's like what about all right, well let's do some highlights for ourselves. Like some favorite things about this show. Like number one, I mean, God, I have a few, but like if I look at the trajectory of it and I think about everything that we've done to expose folks like Steve Maviglio, it makes me incredibly happy. Like,
yeah, holler.
Sacramento and the whole nation now knows who he is and what he's all about. And that's something to be proud about. We were a major part in that.
It is fun. I will say that I will say this, like, you know, back in the day when we were doing it, like we were like a year in, we used to be, you know, we'd be talking about, you know, local electeds and all this stuff. And it was always kind of like, I wonder if they even know.
Care. Even know
like,
we
I wonder if
exist.
they even are aware that like this show exists, and if they are, if they care at all. And then getting an affirmative answer in the most extreme sense possible that yes, they are aware. They were aware of the show. They were paying attention to what we were saying, and they were fucking real mad about it.
Like former state senators who despise me personally.
Yeah. That was in a way that was definitely a moment of vindication for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, my classics, I think Master of Crows was one of the first real kind of ongoing jokes with the show.
Mm-hmm.
That was, we were just, all we were doing was,
anymore.
Well, we were recording, this was pandemic, and we were recording at Skyler's house. And we kept having to stop what we were saying because there were a bunch of crows going by outside. And I think we came up with the premise that Steinberg was sending the crows to disrupt our show. The mayor.
He was also, like driving the fire trucks by my house.
Yeah, the fire
sirens
trucks
on too. Yeah.
Daryl.
So we started referring to him as the master of crows, like really apropos of fucking nothing.
Right.
Which I think that one got around to him.
I mean, probably, but I mean, what are you supposed to think about that? Like without the context? I mean, even with the context, really.
Yeah,
just
like
true. This group of idiots. I would love to be in that. Master of Crows became. I mean, we would even call when we weren't recording. We were just like sitting in a bar, and we would be cawing. God, it's so good.
Yep, that was a biggie. I mean, Flo's big moment on the Measure U committee, that iconic moment. We were supposed to record the night of that thing happening, that this, you know, her big moment that ended up getting all these headlines, but it went so long. I was in Colorado at the time. I remember we had to record the next morning, and I was not happy.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
I mean, we have so many moments that are like piss your pants funny. Just like,
I mean, or at least it was to us.
Yeah. I mean, maybe other people don't think it's that funny, but like there are bits from the show that, like, this show is not, for the most part, like we're all just sitting. It's like we're at a bar having a drink talking about whatever the fuck is going on, right? We're just spitballing the entire fucking time. And the way that like some of those takes turned into jokes that we still talk about today. Like we were talking about Spunt the other night, which wasn't so much of a take, but was
Spunt. I mean, Spunt
Spunt.
was, it's an
Spunt was a
iconic
classic
moment,
moment.
at least
Yeah.
for us.
Spunt is so good.
For folks who don't remember, I think I was like reading an article. I was doing a little article read that day, and I asked all the co-hosts to guess this guy in the article, guess his nickname. And you know, Shannon and Skyler, I think, made a guess here and there. And around the same moment that they made their guesses, Flo sort of like chirped something out, but we're on Zoom, so you can't really hear perfectly. And it really did sound like she said this. And Skyler just like record scratches the whole episode. And he's like, wait. Did you just say spunt?
So
Which, I mean, it's hard to capture it in a retelling, but like that is, if you ask somebody to guess a nickname and they say spunt, that is the craziest shit.
It's also,
That
I'm
is a
pretty
wild
sure
guess.
what you said, which was like, did you just say spunt? And Flo was like, what? And you're like, that is the craziest guess for somebody's name.
So a little inside baseball now that we can utter her name again as we're making our exit. The day Flo told us that she was running for mayor, we had like a voices meeting, and that she had to, leave the show. We were
I think I know where this is going.
maybe I actually have told this joke before, but like we were standing around, we were all sort of gobsmacked when she told us. Like, Skyler and I had dead serious faces. Shannon, your jaw was on the ground.
I think I was just screaming.
You kept looking at me going, did you know? Did you know? And I was just like terrified for what that portends for once we start winning, right? And for some reason we were just discussing some like little things, that would be good for her to start the campaign. Like, what do you want to do for this and that? And we were like, what's the slogan going to be? And for some reason, this might have been me actually.
It was you.
As many of you know, council member Mai Vang, she has a little tagline that's like, she's been using it for years, and it's called Heart and Hustle. Hashtag Heart and Hustle, right? Very effective, very good. And so we're talking about Flo's tagline, and I go, how about Spunt and Spuzzle?
I mean, I still think that's a great hashtag.
I think
why not?
that it is incredible.
Spunt and Spuzzle.
Spunt and
I'm
Spuzzle.
disappointed that it hasn't made its way out.
Yeah, same, honestly.
But
yeah, I had to pull that one from the social media.
The social media could not handle the Spunt and Spuzzle.
Thank you for your Spunt and Spuzzle.
Thank you.
Team Spunt and Spuzzle
for coming to this Spuzzle.
So one of the moments for me that's kind of it turned into a two-parter basically was when we were dogging on David Garibaldi, and Flo would like not get on board.
The artist, the local artist who does the upside down like, layering around
painting like performances.
He just like throws paint on a canvas.
But we were ripping on him, and Flo was defending him, and it is one of the funniest things because she wouldn't let it go. And then recently he was in the news for some kind of problem that he was having with his family. And I was like, oh, hell yeah, we're going to knock this out of the park as an opener. We're bringing Garibaldi back to voices. And then I read the article and was like, oh, this is actually just sad.
Like I just feel horrible.
I'm not going to talk about this. This is sounds like a bad situation for everybody involved.
Yeah.
I was not on that episode, but our thread blew up that night. So often what happens is like we record the show, we all send our shit over to Skyler, and then he produces the show. And so at like 11:30 midnight, the text thread will start lighting up with quotes from the show that he is like laughing at home.
Mm-hmm.
And the David Garibaldi is the national treasure.
Yeah, we
is
started ripping on him, and Flo lost her shit, and that was the first thing she said. David Garibaldi is a national
No,
treasure.
she said that we had moved on and we're talking about something else, and then she just came in with that, and it just like derailed the
still
whole
on
thing
it.
back to David Garibaldi.
I think some of my favorite shit on this show is the times when we would like during vaccine time, Skyler, the thing about Skyler making the vaccine in his bathtub,
Yeah, absolutely.
and Flo just like typing, doing whatever the fuck she's doing, and she would just say, "I hate it here."
And she
Like,
wouldn't even look up.
wouldn't even look up.
Yeah, I will say that like winding Flo up was one of
best.
my favorite parts of doing this show completely.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Incredible.
doing those
Flo is
bits.
a wonderful straight woman.
Exactly. Like that, like you need that character like in a comedy segment, and she played it to a T.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. Oh gosh. Yeah. I mean, somewhat when we met the other night and we were talking about the Gavin Newsom's son tattooing a dick on his nose. And
Oh my God, that reminds me of
somebody,
my friend Tom always sending me graphics of like something we talked about, and that was one of the things he sent me, and it was so good. I think I shared it with the crew. Sorry, Shannon, keep going.
but somebody said like just going through Instagram and like listening to the little bits is like, oh, medicine really, because it's all just hilarious. And I'll tell you what, I did that, and there is some good shit out there. Some stupid ass good shit.
I forgot about the dick on the nose thing. I don't even remember where that came from. I remember like there were a lot of times, like it's not just Flo saying I hate it here. Like when you two in particular would go off on something, and I'd start in my head just start being like, oh shit, oh fuck, oh shit. Like, is this gonna get us in trouble? And like try to move us on. And sometimes you would just like completely resist and like just like power through it.
Hell yeah. Take it to the limit.
Mm-hmm.
What a time. I mean, as as has been said, I think that there is I too have excitement about what's next, and someday we'll all hop on a my hope is that someday we'll all hop on a Zoom to do an episode where I'm turning the show over to Gabe, and then Gabe we'll all hop on an episode, and Gabe will turn the show over to the next people. And I think one of the things that I always keep in my mind as the years go on that we've done this show is that, yeah, I think that the work that we have done is important, but also there are people younger than us, like that's just the reality, younger than us doing radical work that like this show is theirs, and like when they're ready to have it, we have to be ready to give it to them, right? Like, because we're not going to be a bunch of fucking like we're a bunch of 40-year-olds. Well, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a 40-year-old, and the two of you, Skyler's gonna be 40 in like a week, and Kemp will be 40 he'll be 40
February.
next year in February.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we're a bunch of fucking 40 slash almost 40-year-olds that like at a certain point we it's time to give it to the next crew of folks, right? Like they're the ones that they get it. They deserve it. They get to be yelly on this platform at some point, and I am excited about that, because I certainly don't want to be a fucking 45-year-old fat brown woman trying to do this show, like, because my voice is not as relevant as others, but
Yeah.
we'll get there.
I mean, just starting voices before we even started the podcast, restarted the podcast, I was what? I was like just barely 32. Like it was, as an online platform, it was cool. Like you're still cool at 32. And like I don't think I can say like, yeah, like we're maybe cool for like our age, but like I don't think we're like tapped into like the really fucking like
Not cool.
cool shit anymore. My body, I went to a show on Sunday. It took me 2 days for my body to recover. Like,
Also, I mean, I like want for first of all, I'm not cool. Second of all, I am too I legitimately do not have the energy that young folks have to do the fucking shit that they do. Like I go to work and I do the show and I drink coffee, water, and booze. And that is what I have the capacity. Well, I go to therapy. That is what I have the capacity to do. There was a time when I had the capacity to do a lot more. And there are people who can do a lot more and are way more tuned into shit and have so much valuable, they've got valuable takes and all of the things, connections and resources and all of that to share, that like I am ready for that sort of transition. And this happened really fast.
yeah,
The realization that it was time, although I don't think that any of us were necessarily surprised by it, the move from we're figuring out how to be on this show to we cannot be on this show any longer happened in a week. That's really, really fast. And so,
I think it happened within like 2 days.
totally. But like, here we are today and the announcement and
Yeah.
all of this. And as we're having this conversation publicly, there are still things that we are figuring out, that Gabe and I have to figure out in terms of bringing on, a rotation of co-hosts and how we're going to handle that work and that sort of vetting and onboarding and, what our recording schedule looks like and all of those things. When we say, as Sky and Kempa are saying that they are leaving the show, like they are leaving the show having nothing to do with anything that is this show except for supporting and amplifying the work that happens. And that's, I think, one, it's important to say because of the reasons that you're leaving, but also we've got big microphones to sit behind. Like,
True. Right.
we got to find people and I think Gabe and I will probably have to have an episode where we talk a little bit more about what's next. And, though we can say, you all can say what the plan is for the rest of this year, which is that we have 3 more episodes that will record and drop. And then because of this change, we're going to take a 2-month break from recording the show, mid December to mid January.
That's 1 month.
I'm sorry, mid November. See, I said it right the first time. Mid November to mid January. And it doesn't mean that we won't record a one-off show here and there about stuff, in particular because we do have it's a ripe time for having takes in Sacramento. And then when we come back, we hope to have more folks to welcome on as co-hosts. So we'll use our socials to call for co-hosts. If you're interested, reach out to either Gabe or I, and we'll schedule a time to sit down with you. But yeah, this is
it.
Yeah, this is it.
It's a little scary for me, I'll say, like like that brand, like this whole thing, and like talking about a brand, it's very weird, especially given that we're anti-capitalists. But it's been really strongly associated with me personally, and like I just put so much of my life into this. Um but what happened when the four of us started the show was that I came to be happy knowing that this isn't mine, that it's ours. And it's not just ours. It wasn't just the four of ours. It was the communities. It was who wants to come on, who can we help elevate that's doing impressive, important work that can kind of help progress the movement. And I think we were pretty good stewards. And like I don't, obviously not perfect, like you're not gonna be, but like this continues to be like everyone's. And I think that like it was never just mine or just the four of ours. And like I really hope and believe that, you know, you all continue with it. You keep the co-op model going that we had, and like just um fuck, turn it into something that we never thought it could be, right?
Yeah. I think it's an important, for me, a really important part of this transition is acknowledging that like this was something that Kempa, you dreamt up long before Skyler and I were involved, and that your departure from it is not only like it's a thing, it's a loss for the show, right? Like that just is what it is. It's a loss when any of us leave. But also that for all in every way, this is a thing that you like walk around with like it's an egg and take care of it and don't want it to break. And when you hand it off to people, you were handing it off to friends who were going to take care of it while you traveled or whatever, like, you know. And now to say like you're not going to give this back to me, I think it's really big. It's huge. We can't move into the next phase of voices without acknowledging that reality, that none of this and none of the feelings that we have and the tears and the joy and the all of it are possible without your dream to make this happen. And I don't know if I could walk away from something that I made in this way. I don't know that I could. I think I'm too much of a bitchy control freak.
I'm sure you guys could have said that about me once or twice the last 4 years. Yeah.
I wouldn't call you bitchy, but
I don't know. I know. I think the fact that the Band-Aid is ripped so quickly, it's like it's kind of nice that it doesn't matter if I'm fucking ready or not, you know?
Yeah, and I think in a lot of ways it's like it speaks to your dedication to the movement, that the thing that would cause you to say, all right, here you go, is this, you know, and we'll just figure it out.
I think you will.
Yeah, I also think that you will. I'm looking forward to listening to you figure it out.
Yeah. Holding Mayor Flo accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, yeah, Skyler, do you have anything how do you fucking end this?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't have any. I think I said all I have to say about it. It's been a real honor and a privilege to do this with y'all.
Likewise. And just like, you know, I don't think this is anything that it could have been without you two and Shannon as well, right? Like we built this culture together. We were all equal strands on this thing we wove, and I think that's like fucking cool. And yeah, it's on to the next thing.
Yep.
You can have me as a guest.
Why don't we talk about nothing related to Sacramento?
I like the idea of me being like, hey, can I come on? And like then like everyone who's the host at that point is like, nah, fuck this guy.
No, I don't think so.
You're like,
I'm
man,
sorry,
that's not how
man.
we fucking do shit. You don't just invite yourself on our show.
Mhm.
I can't wait to send that text to you. No,
I'm
man,
actually
get on the
looking
fucking
forward
show.
to that. Like this is that's the spirit of the show.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to coming to a Voices meetup and just running into somebody who's half my age at the door is like, nah, man, you can't come in.
And you're like, look at this vintage Voices t-shirt, man.
There's like holes in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, cool.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you end a show like this, but we have to, because it otherwise people are going to stop their Patreon pledges because they don't want to hear a bunch of 40 / almost 40-year-olds cry. But I think just again, like the future is community collaboration, and that's what we intend to do as we move the show forward, and we will do our best to, I don't know, keep the legacy of the original cis het white dudes on this show strong. We will
Good.
be
Yeah.
angry
Hell yeah.
and inquisitive and unapologetic.
And unflinching and weird.
Unflinching and weird.
I'm probably gonna flinch though. I feel like I'm already flinching a little bit.
No,
No,
just
the whole
don't
point of this is so
don't
we can
flinch to the
stop flinching.
bastards. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're trying to stop flinching.
We're trying to
Not
stop
flinching.
flinching.
I'm not
Because right
flinching.
now we're flinching and mainstream and normal. So that needs to change. That's the whole point of the thing.
Well,
Cool.
tune in to the next episode when Gabe and I get real and talk hella shit about Kempa and Sky.
I can't wait to listen. Thank
Yeah, me
you.
either.
And thank you to Gabe and to all of our co-hosts and guest hosts. You're obviously all still part of the family. And thank you to all the viewers and listeners. Like, what a fucking ride. And the readers before we even started this. This doesn't happen without any of you. It doesn't happen without my ghost corral of secret editors that worked for different newspapers and radio shows and TV stations and secretly had a Slack with me where we guided for 2.5 years before the podcast renewal the direction of the Voices River City platform. Like, what a ride, man. What, like 7.5 years? No. Yeah. Wow. So thank you, and fuck you. I'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, fuck you, man.
Don't touch me.
Fuck you guys. Don't even come near any of us. Until next time.
Yeah.
Listeners.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
I did the Shannon.
Yeah, that's mine.
All right, should we stop?
Yeah.
I stopped.